Yo, 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 what is up? What is up? What is going on, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning into another DnL&x Fitness live stream show. Fix that. There we go. How's everybody doing today? Today is the 4th of July, so get ready for some fireworks. Oh man, I gotta fix my thing. We got the wrong banner that's already starting off on the screen, so we're gonna fix that real quick and take that off. Oh, I guess we'll just keep that banner there. But what's going on, man? Happy 4th of July, everybody. How's everybody doing? We are here today for another DnL&x Fitness live stream show. Bruh. Yes, sir, on July 4th. We are chilling here today, finna get everything taken care of and everything going on. Even though it's the holiday, we still have to get a show done because why not? It's important to get one done. We got a few things that we have to talk about today to get things going. But with that being said, we just let you know we are multi-streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. And if you're on YouTube, do me a favor, when you see that thumbs up, hit that like button on YouTube. It's greatly appreciated. Yes, sir. And we are also, what is the other thing? Oh, yes, you want to contribute to today's show? Right there is the Cash App and the Venmo, Daniel2888, and then the Venmo is going to be Danny-Daniel-00. We got an interesting show into you for today. We got our 3 topics that we cover. Fitness, good Lord, my mind is going blank today. I don't know what's going on. Fitness, the economy, and AI. For fitness, we're going to look at something called ketosis that happens inside the body whenever you do something sort of like fasting, to see how you can get to that point of your body whenever you fast, see if ketosis is good for you or bad for you. And then when we get to the economy portion of the show, we're going to look at the student loan wage garnishment, which is basically equivalent to child support. Yeah, that's gonna suck. So hopefully everybody's okay with that one right there. But we're gonna look at different people who are dealing with wage garnishment via being in delinquency when it comes to student loan debt. And it's the same thing as child support. I wonder if they get in delinquency long enough, will they be able to take them to jail for breach of contract? I don't know, but only time will tell. Then we're going to go on to the AI portion of the show, which is the same topic we were supposed to get into yesterday. Was it the day before? And we're going to go ahead and get into it today. We got time today, so we'll be able to see exactly what's all the new robots that they're going to be able to put out and what all robots that they have going into the future. And if they're going to be taking over jobs, replacing jobs, walking the street, or whatever the case may be. But just know they already got them and they'll be out very, very soon. Within like 5 years, we'll be seeing robots walking the street and looking at us talking about something. Bruh. So get ready for that. It's going to be interesting on how life is going to change. Yes, sir. It's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one. Then at the end, if we got time, I might throw some miscellaneous things in there because today's the 4th. And, you know, it's been raining a hell of a lot lately, which is kind of good. So you ain't got to worry about nobody. At least over here in Texas, it's been raining, which is good. So therefore, if you're done blowing fireworks and stuff, you don't have to worry about nothing catching on fire. Hopefully the po-po don't trip, though. You never know. They might trip. They might get upset. They might lose their mind. If they do, and I mean, at least they ain't got to worry about no fires. Because we've been getting a whole lot of rain. As a matter of fact, it rained this morning. Hell, it might be raining now. Is it? Take a look. No, it's not raining now. So we're still good on that. But today's going to be an interesting day. It's going to be a fun day. We may get into the muscle of the day. I may have one. I may not. I may do it. We'll see. Depends on what's going on. Depending on how I feel. But with that being said, man, let's go ahead and go over our topics because we got stuff we got to learn. We got things we got to figure out. Hopefully you train today because I trained today. I had to get the training session in regardless. No matter if it's a holiday or not, you still got to get in there and train and get your workout in, get your gains going, get that mindset elevated. But with that being said, we're going to jump right into the first video of the day. This is going to be from What I've Learned, Joseph Everett. Shout out to him. This dude is very, 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 his videos are very good, knowledgeable, and educational, and very, very valuable. And it's going to see is ketosis dangerous, which is a state that you can get in via fasting for 48 to 72 hours, I believe so. But he's going to go into a deeper dive, a deeper detail to get a better understanding on how this stuff works. Because you need to know about your body. Somebody said know thyself, and I think when they meant that, they meant how the body works. But a lot of people don't see it that way. People look at it as, I don't know, a whole lot of hoardism. Bruh. But hey, don't blame me. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the first video of today. Let me go ahead and pull it up. We're going to change that banner real quick and get that banner on there really fast like we just did. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and check out it, make sure everything is good, which it is. And we're going to go ahead and hop onto this video here and see, is ketosis dangerous? The science of fasting and low carb keto. So to all you low carb or you keto diet people out there, we got something to see, and something that may let you know what you're doing is good or bad, or hell, it really isn't that serious, but we're about to find out. So with that being said, let's get it rolling.
Recently, low-carb diets, intermittent fasting, and even prolonged fasting have become very popular, and they all have something in common. They move you towards entering the state of ketosis. Ketosis is a state where your body is running primarily on fat from your diet or your body. Ketogenesis is when fats are broken down into something called ketones. These ketones, or ketone bodies, are usually thought of as an alternate fuel source, because instead of glucose, ketones are used to power most tissues as well as the brain. Sustaining ketosis means restricting protein to less than 20% of your calories and carbs to less than 5%. Unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of confusion around ketones. Most people have been taught that ketosis is a dangerous, unnatural state that appears only during starvation or in diabetics. So with this video, I'd like to clear up some misunderstandings, and I'll present to you why entering this fat-burning state of ketosis can be perfectly natural, and might even be the preferred state for humans, compared to having our bodies always running off of carbohydrate. To see how there can be so much confusion around a topic like ketosis.
Oh man, they caught us slipping. Sorry, I had to grab something really quick because I forgot to do one more thing before we got started. But yeah, so we're talking about ketosis to see if it's going to be good or bad. And to my knowledge, ketosis is a state that you get into whenever you fast. I believe it's a good state to be in. If you've ever fasted, water fast or dry fast, feel it, understand it for yourself and see how it does. Body turns in, eats all the bad stuff away from you, fat cells or any bad cells, any blood cells that you have bad, anything negative about you, your body goes in and eats away at itself, and then puts you into a different state depending on how long you fast. But we'll let him go into it and dive in some more. So let's go and pull it back up on the screen and let's continue.
A look at the story of the thymus gland. Back around the 18th and 19th century, it was hard to get cadavers for anatomical study. People didn't really like having their recently deceased loved ones cut up for examination. So people called resurrectionists were employed by anatomists to exhume the bodies of the recently dead. Sometimes resurrectionists would even wait near a funeral and snatch the body right then and there. Because of this, wealthy people would purchase very well-crafted, lockable coffins, and they would hire armed guards to protect the graves of their loved ones. The 1832 Anatomy Act even said that if a person died in a poorhouse or their relatives could not pay for medical expenses, their body was to be immediately turned over to the anatomist for study. This meant that anatomists were much more likely to get their hands on the body of a poor person who couldn't afford such measures. So, what about the thymus? Well, people facing the hardships that come from being poor are of course going to be under a lot of stress. Chronic stress. Nowadays, we're very familiar with the fact that chronic stress leads to all types of diseases and that it can atrophy certain organs. In the case of the thymus, stress can reduce its size by as much as 75%. So, what ended up being recorded into the anatomy books as a normal thymus gland was actually a thymus that was severely reduced in size.
He said that stress can reduce it by 75%?
5%. In the case of the thymus, stress can reduce its size by as much as 75%.
Man, that shows you how important managing your stress is, because if stress can reduce it by 75%, that's intense, that's crazy. So if you ever wonder why the world is so tough and there's so much negativity that's always been being pushed forward, and of course we're in an economic downturn, it's part of a cycle. 100 years have passed since the Great Depression, so we're due for another one. It's just how the cycle of life goes. Nothing does good all the time, nothing does bad all the time. But that should let you know how important to manage your stress levels really are. 75%. So if you ever wonder why the higher ups, so the powers that be, like to put stress on people in hard times to keep you in survival mode, well, it screws with you internally and you can't even operate at 100%.
So, what ended up being recorded into the anatomy books as a normal thymus gland was actually a thymus that was severely reduced in size. Then, in the 1900s, a German anatomist called Palthoff was trying to find the cause of sudden infant death syndrome. Many middle and upper-class babies were abruptly dying of this. So, Palthoff examines the bodies of these higher-class babies and notices that their thymus glands appear to be abnormally large. So he concluded that if you wanted to be a good parent, you should irradiate the thymus gland of your child to make it smaller and prevent sudden infant death syndrome. By the 1920s, all the leading pediatric textbooks were offering this advice. Paltov, of course, didn't realize that he was simply someone who had the rare chance to look at the bodies of children whose thymus was not affected by the chronic stress of poverty. Unfortunately, this misunderstanding persisted well into the 1950s, having several thousands of people die from irradiation-induced cancer. So what does any of this have to do with ketosis? Well, ketones also have the misfortune of being misunderstood due to how they were discovered. Physicians first noticed ketones in the latter part of the 19th century when they were noticed to be in abundance in the urine of patients in a diabetic coma. It was understood that a vast overproduction of ketones was responsible for the terrible symptoms of something called diabetic ketoacidosis.
With Asana, AI teammates can pull real-time.
Okay, so as we can see here, he's actually really going in depth into detail all the way down to diabetics. So this is going to be interesting to see how far he takes this, because it's really a state that he says is actually positive in a way, but he's going through all details and to see exactly how people have went on to discover this. And I mean, just going out and digging up dead bodies, like, bruh, that's a little intense. However, I've learned that before when I went to massage therapy school, how these people learn about the human body. That's what they did. They would dig up dead bodies. And of course, over time, it was illegal and they had issues or like penalties or whatever for it. But yeah, like he said, they'll wait after the funeral. If you were too poor, they would take the poor body or whatever. And that's how you got some of these weird, wacky names for some stuff, because those were the people that were able to get the body and put, add a name to it or their name to it and then put in the books, and that's the stuff that you go by. So going to get dead bodies and learning about the human body even more, that's kind of what they did. And you have to think about what kind of person, would do such a thing. But at the same time, you do want to know about the human body, and how else would you know about the human body without dissecting and doing such things? And you always want to ask yourself, is there an ethical way to dissect, or were they just out there like feeding their fetish of, bloodlust and thirst? But I digress. Let's continue. Here we go.
Half a century, ketones were thought to be the very negative product of impaired carbohydrate utilization. Only after technology and analytical techniques improved did we understand that ketone bodies are perfectly normal components of the blood. Even if you're not technically in ketosis, ketone bodies are always present in the blood of a healthy person, and their levels increase the longer you go without food. After an overnight fast, ketone bodies supply 2 to 6% of the body's energy requirements, while they supply 30 to 40% of the energy needs after a 3-day fast. Before we continue, being in ketosis through fasting or diet is nothing like diabetic ketoacidosis. Ketoacidosis involves exorbitant levels of ketone production, far higher than what you could achieve even when fasting for weeks. Being worried about ketoacidosis through diet or fasting is like worrying that eating at a sushi restaurant is going to put you into a brief coma, just like that one kid who chugged a bottle of soy sauce on a dare. So, not only are ketones normally found in healthy people, but it's
chugged a bottle of soy sauce on a dare. Let's see here. Intentional massive sodium chloride ingestions are rare occurrences and often are fatal. There are a variety of treatments recommendation. A 19-year-old man presented to the emergency room in a comatose state with seizure-like activity 2 hours after ingesting a quart of soy sauce. He was administered 6 liters of free water over 30 minutes and survived neurologically intact without clinical sequelae. Corrected by hyperglycemia, the patient peak serum sodium was 196 milliliters, which to our knowledge is the highest documented level in an adult patient to survive an acute sodium ingestion without neurological defects. So too much sodium would have messed up his brain, but he made it. He did not lose his life. Boy, and he only had a quart of the sodium. So ingesting a quart of sodium, that's still a lot. Maybe a quart is the whole bottle. I don't know what the size of the bottle was. Right here. 5.1 fluid ounces. I don't know how many ounces in a quart, but still, that's a lot of soda. And to drink soy sauce, bro, you are a nasty person.
So, not only are ketones normally found in healthy people, but it's been found that certain tissues actually prefer to use ketone bodies. In fact, as explained in the biochemistry textbook published by W.H. Freeman, fatty acids are the heart's main source of fuel, although ketone bodies, as well as lactate, can serve as fuel for heart muscle. In fact, heart muscle consumes acetoacetate, a ketone body, in preference to glucose. Some people actually purposely enter ketosis through fasting in order to improve mental performance. A study at the University of Cambridge concluded that a ketogenic diet improved physical and cognitive function in rats, and its energy.
Okay, so we have here in rats. So ketone bodies are most energy efficient fuel and yield more ATP per mole of substrate than pyruvate, and increase the free energy release from ATP hydrolysis. Elevation of circulating ketones via high-fat, low-carbohydrate diets have been used for the treatment of drug-refractory epilepsy and for neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's disease. Ketones may also be beneficial for muscle and brain in times of stress, such as endurance exercises. Interesting.
Energy-sparing properties suggest that it may help to treat a range of human conditions with metabolic abnormalities. I guess Plato figured this out for himself when he said, "I fast for greater physical and mental efficiency." Going without food for better cognitive.
I mean, you would think he read a Bible or something, because the Bible does tell you to pray and meditate and fast. I mean, so you would think he picked up a Bible and read it. But you know, sometimes they don't want to admit certain things like that, so you just gotta kind of look at them like, bruh. Exactly.
Greater physical and mental efficiency. Going without food for better cognitive function may sound ridiculous, considering it was for a long while thought that the brain could only run on glucose, carbohydrates. George Cahill and his group at Harvard Medical School demonstrated in 1967 that the brain can use ketone bodies as a source of energy. What he found was that during starvation, ketones are the predominant fuel of the peripheral tissues and the brain, with the brain deriving more than 2/3 of its energy from ketone bodies. Despite this, the body still requires some glucose, even when you aren't eating anything. For example, red blood cells can't run off of ketone bodies because they don't have any mitochondria to metabolize them with. But all of the body's glucose needs are met by the fact that the body can make its own glucose. For example, it can make glucose from the glycerol backbone of fat. For this reason, even during prolonged fasting, people will still keep a stable blood glucose level. This also illustrates that there is actually no diet.
Your body can make glucose on its own. Interesting. Guess if you have an extreme amount of fat, it can. So fat is not necessarily bad for you, but of course, like anything else, too much of it is not good for you. So I would say that sweet spot to having a percentage of body fat would probably be between 9 and 12. My opinion, we'll say 8 and 12, just to keep it on some even numbers. Between like 8 and 12% body fat, I think that's your sweet spot on where you want to keep your body fat.
Dietary requirement for carbohydrate. Of course, vegetables and some fruit are very important because they have all kinds of micronutrients and fiber, but your body doesn't actually require the carbohydrate inside those foods. I'm not necessarily saying that a zero carbohydrate diet is best, just that it's very possible to live without dietary carbohydrate, assuming you get enough fat and protein. There are essential amino acids, and there are.
So I guess that's why it's important to eat the fat on a steak. You know what I mean? At least it's got that flavoring to it with the steak being cooked. So like he just said right there is what he said right here.
Diet is best, just that it's very possible to live without dietary carbohydrate, assuming you get enough fat and protein.
See, so it's good to live without carbohydrates as long as you get enough fat and protein. So eat fats and proteins, healthy fats, you'll be good. So yeah, you don't have to have carbs, but you know, we live in a world where carbs make a lot of freaking money.
There are essential amino acids and there are essential fatty acids, types of protein and fat that you must get from the diet. However, there is no such thing as an essential dietary carbohydrate. Your body is perfectly capable of making as much glucose as it needs. In fact, in the absence of dietary carbohydrate, the brain runs so efficiently off of ketone bodies that you can drastically deplete glucose levels of people in deep ketosis, and it won't affect them. A 1972 paper describes an ethically questionable study where overweight patients fasted for 2 months, putting them in deep ketosis, meaning they were producing a very large amount of ketone bodies. Insulin was then infused into these patients until their blood glucose went as low as 9 milligrams per deciliter, a level that should cause coma or death. However, the patients didn't really react to this. There was no particular change in cognition, nor did their body react to the drastic drop in blood sugar.
The only people in the room who had palpitations and sweating and anxiety were the physicians. The people who had the blood sugar levels that should be associated with coma or death were completely unfazed. had completely normal mentation, it is clear that the human brain is perfectly happy with beta-hydroxybutyrate as not just its majority fuel, but essentially its sole fuel.
Actually, anyone watching this video would have, at least one point in their lives, been in a similar situation, where blood glucose is very low and ketone utilization is very high in their body.
So basically, eat proteins and fats. You can skip the carbs, depending on, I would say don't skip the carbs depending on your lifestyle. If your lifestyle is high energy, physically demanding, I wouldn't skip the carbs because your body's going to use that for energy. But as far as, I guess, I don't know what you call living a normal life, but living a life of not as much being physical and exerting a lot of energy, then protein and fats, then you can skip out on eating so much carbs, period, because then your body just makes enough for you to sustain throughout the day. My humble opinion.
Bodies. It's estimated that a newborn's brain consumes on average between 60 and 71% of its body's energy budget. Compare that to the lowly 25% of the body's energy budget an adult brain uses. Despite this massive need for energy, a newborn's blood glucose level is incredibly low, at around 35 milligrams per deciliter. This is half of the lower end of a normal adult's blood glucose level. This means that the newborn's brain would have to be deriving more than half of its energy from ketone bodies. In his book on the health potential of ketones, Dr. Muneta Tetsuo, director of the Muneta Maternity Clinic in Japan, explains that pregnant women, whether they are restricting carbohydrate or not, are producing higher than normal levels of ketones. By comparing the mother's blood with the newborn's umbilical cord blood, he found that out of 416 cases, 70% of the babies were born with even higher levels of ketones than that of the mother. By analyzing the villi that provide
that makes sense. That to me makes perfectly sense. I would say so because the baby's body hasn't been polluted with the, I guess, eating outside food. Although we do say that the baby eats food from the mother and the mother's eating outside food. True. However, I guess see how the baby right here is in the placenta right here. He's covered. It is covered. So I don't think its body has been like fully tainted, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? It is not being polluted with water that has all sorts of chemicals in it. The oxygen that it's breathing is not, tainted with any toxic or pollution, nothing like that. So that would make sense. This is just me giving my opinion. I think that makes more sense to why the baby's ketones would be higher. That's just an assumption, but who knows?
Contact with the mother's blood to the fetal membrane, Muneta deduced that the fetus must be living in an environment of elevated ketones from the start of pregnancy. And even a month after birth, babies on average had a blood ketone level 5 times higher than that of a normal person. As Muneta wrote in his book, newborns are living off of ketones.
I would say that's why breast milk will probably be way more important than Similac, because then you keep the baby, on the mother's natural womb or just keep the baby on a natural feeding cycle, because then the Similac, like God knows where Similac is made from. We can do a video on that. That'll just probably ruin everything for you. So I think Similac, if the baby's operating on like 70-80% ketones in the body, I would say Similac is used to, if one, for mothers who can't breastfeed, but two, to knock that, to knock that out of the baby. Because 9 times out of 10, like anything processed, is not meant for your benefit. It's usually for your detriment.
Not only is ketosis helpful for supplying the energy needs of a newborn baby, it may also be an important factor in the development of the brain. It's been understood that exercise is beneficial for the brain because
well, then that's why fasting would be important then, because if you go through a higher ketone level whenever you're in the fasted state, it's to help you, protect your brain, not to be so confused, not to be so cloudy, not to be so, just not to be so, out of it, not to be so, just completely, destructive in your way of thinking. Because if you've ever fasted before, you think differently. If you ever went through like a water fast or dry fast, you start to think differently because your stomach isn't satisfied with with food, and you're not dealing with the feeling of hunger. Well, you're dealing with hunger, you're conquering hunger, but your brain is thinking in a different way. I can't explain it. It's only it's only able for you to understand if you actually go through it and do it yourself. But if you go through a fasting period, it changes the way you think. It really does elevate your mindset.
Increases the level of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which is a protein that promotes the growth of new brain cells. Because of this, Dr. John Rady of Harvard Medical School has given BDNF the nickname of Miracle Grow for the brain. However, the mechanism for how exercise triggers BDNF was not clear for some time, until a paper came out last year that was headed by Assistant Professor of Biochemistry Dr. Sama Slaman. I think the title is quite straightforward. Exercise promotes the expression of brain-derived neurotrophic factor through the action of the ketone body, beta-hydroxybutyrate. Growth of the brain is very important in a more broad sense as well. Growing a big brain is of course what allowed us to become human, and when it comes to human evolution, efficiency is the name of the game. That is, our bodies had to develop methods for more efficient extraction and utilization of energy, mainly to support our big energy-hungry brain. One trade-off for a bigger brain was a smaller gut. Less energy spent on the gut meant more for the brain.
Less energy spent on the gut means more for the brain. Less energy spent on the gut means more for the brain. So the more you overeat, the less you use your brain. That's and kind of like what I just said, if you fast, you realize your mindset changes. You think differently. You know what I mean? It really does change the way you think if you go on a fast. So yeah, that actually goes hand in hand.
Stated in a public Library of Science article titled Man the Fat Hunter, to adjust for the high metabolic cost of a large brain, shrinkage in gut size was a necessary accompaniment. A shorter human gut had evolved to be more dependent on nutrient and energy-dense foods than other primates. A smaller gut is less efficient at extracting sufficient energy and nutrition from fibrous foods, and considerably more dependent on higher density, higher bioavailable foods that require less energy for their digestion per unit of energy/nutrition released. This implicates fat as an important food source because it is obviously very energy dense, providing 9 calories per gram. But the efficiency of using fat for fuel is deeper than just calories. Also, our brain's power and capacity for intellect comes not just from the increase in size, but also from the enhanced blood flow and efficient use of oxygen. Roger Seymour of the University of Adelaide and his team found that blood flow to the brain increased at an unexpectedly rapid pace over a period of 3 million years. Seymour says, while the brain was increasing 3.5 times, blood flow rate surprisingly increased 600%, from about 1.2 milliliters per second to 7 milliliters per second. This indicates that our brains are 6 times as hungry for oxygen as those of our ancestors, presumably because our cognitive ability is greater and therefore more energy intensive. This would suggest that the most important fuel for the brain is going to be one that uses oxygen more efficiently. And this is exactly what ketones do. Dr. Richard L. Veach found in 1994 that administering ketone bodies to a rat heart led to a 25% increase in hydraulic work.
I always wonder, why do they do these studies on like rats or mice, and then they're like, oh, and they try to correlate it over to humans, which I've never understood that. Why would you correlate rats and mice over to humans with, research, just use an actual human, which would be my opinion. I mean, hell, they've done worse things on this earth as far as like what they do. So at least if you're trying to find out something positive, then, try it on a human and see what happens.
But a decrease in oxygen consumption. Theodore Van Italia explained this phenomenon in a 2003 article by saying that the ketone body beta-hydroxybutyrate increases the efficiency of energy production in the cell's mitochondria.
Okay, so here we go. I actually typed it in real quick. Rats are frequently used in scientific experiments due to their genetic, biological, and behavioral similarities to humans, making them making them valuable models for studying human diseases and testing new treatments. They are also relatively small, easy to handle, breed quickly, and have a well understood genetic background, making them a practical choice for research. Okay, so they're comparing them to humans and how they basically act and how they are basic. basically. And it says rats share a significant portion of their genes with humans, making them useful for studying how. Many diseases linked to human genes have equivalent genes in rats. Okay, but there's nothing to back this up. They're just telling us this, and you're supposed to run with it. Small rats are relatively small, making them easy to house. Yes, we understand. We get it. Okay, so they're saying that rats or whatever, rats, mice, whatever, are linked relatively close to humans, which I'm gonna have to see some paperwork to, some research, some actual evidence to back that up, not just I don't understand that.
If you were schooled in the States and attended even a day of biology class, you would know that mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell. But is this improvement in efficiency happening in the powerhouses of the brain cells? Well, Van Italia says that studies of blood flow and oxygen consumption in the brains of food-deprived obese human subjects revealed values that were well below the normal levels for adult human brains. They suggest an increase in the metabolic efficiency in human brains using keto acids as their principal energy source in place of glucose. People who have done extended fasts will sometimes report a euphoric or drastically enhanced state of mental clarity around day 6 or 7. This is when ketone bodies have reached a particularly high concentration, somewhere over 5 millimolars per liter, depending on the person. In essence, ketone bodies may be a preferred fuel source for the brain, as they provide more cellular energy per unit of oxygen compared to glucose. Getting more bang for your oxygen through ketosis would be incredibly significant for the development and maintenance of big brains. Some of Dr. Dominic D'Agostino's work revolves around taking advantage of ketosis's efficient usage of oxygen in the cells.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that they're talking about, a lot of the stuff that they're saying, it to me, in my humble opinion, my understanding, it just proves that the Bible tells you to fast, not like it doesn't ask you to, it tells you to. It's like you need to, you should. It should be a part of your life. Like how they say, prayer is an essential part of your life. So if fasting is an essential part of your life, as far as the Bible goes, and this has been trying to tell you that the benefits of fasting is you're going to use more of your brain power as opposed to anything else. And that's what it's trying to get you to do, is to use your brain power. And then of course we learned that, what is it? The thalamus, is it the thalamus that's right here in, the center of between our ears or whatever, between our eyes, the thalamus and all that good stuff is where like the control center of the body is, like the nervous system, but you want to be in a good mental state, and fasting seems like the way to get you there. And of course that was a really big deal whenever it came to anybody in the Bible, so you can always tie this back to that, and that's what I always seem to notice.
Research touches on ketosis's potential for treating a variety of illnesses, including epilepsy, ALS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and even some cancers. His initial research, funded by the Office of Navy Research, was aimed at improving Navy SEALs divers' diving capabilities. The most straightforward display of ketones' efficient use of oxygen is that simply by being in the state of ketosis, Dr. D'Agostino was able to double his breath hold time from 2 minutes to 4 minutes without any prior training. To sum all this up, when fasting long enough or when protein and carbohydrate intake are restricted enough, our bodies switch over to breaking down fat and making ketones, potentially the most efficient fuel that can be used by humans. The brain is a massive blood flow, oxygen, and energy hog that needs to be constantly fueled. Anything that could enhance energy efficiency would be very important for the survival of big-brained humans. Despite the evidence that our bodies and brains may actually prefer to run on ketones, ketosis is still frequently misunderstood as a potentially dangerous state. Going back to the thymus story.
Of course it's going to be referred to as a dangerous state. It's cleaning your body and trying to get you to use more of your brain and to have you in a, more of an elevated mindset, an elevated thought process. So of course you're going to be told to, that it's dangerous, it's not good, it's bad. And at the end of the day, it's just going to make you think, have clearer thoughts. You're not going to be obese or fat or anything like that. Your body's going to go in and eat at itself and destroy all of its fat cells and all of its bad cells and stuff like that. So it defeats treatment and gets straight to a cure. Because if back in the day, if somebody was said to have a demon inside of them, what they would do, they would just throw you in a room and not feed you and basically like starve the demon out of you, put you into a fasted state, which I'm like, I think that makes a lot of sense, like my humble opinion.
Surely children's thymuses wouldn't have been irradiated if the anatomical data of healthy children had been available at the time. And maybe with ketones, the perception of them would be totally different if the first pieces of data didn't come from a diabetic, but say a healthy pregnant mother or a healthy newborn.
Okay. So that's the study of ketones. I think that was rather interesting. I gotta give him a round of applause for putting that together for sure. So if you ever wanted to figure out how to get to that state in your body, man, to how to get to the state of ketosis or ketones, I mean, just basically just fast, go on a fast, just a water fast or a dry fast, which is just completely nothing at all, and let your body do what it does. Let your body eat away your fat cells, let your body eat away all the bad stuff about yourself, feel it and think. And it's one of those situations, if you ever choose to fast, you really gotta like dial in, like you really gotta be able to be like, okay, I'm not about to eat nothing. I'm really gonna, when that hunger kicks in, if you're around food and you smell food, because you can't take a bite of anything, you can't have a piece of anything, nothing. You have to really kind of like, it's you versus you, and you're fighting yourself to get to an elevated version of yourself. And not a lot of people want to do it because they link fasting to starvation. Even Bible thumpers will be like, oh, damn, I'm hungry and I'm starving. Bible thumpers, as much as they want to read the Bible and claim about it, they will literally call fasting starvation or starving because they so hungry and they ain't never done it. So that's something to look forward to. That's something to look into. I would say everybody should try it or do it at least once to see exactly how you feel and get your own understanding. Of course, check with your doctor if you got any health issues, diabetes, or anything of those nature, anything that, your sugar dropped too low, your hypoglycemic, I think you have to eat sugar, you start shaking, or salt or something. I remember a girl was hypoglycemic back in school and she would just start shaking, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she said, I have to eat something because I'm hypoglycemic. And I was like, oh snap. So just be sure that you don't have any issues of that nature that would actually be counterproductive of trying to do said thing. But with that being said, once again, man, give them a round of applause. It's going to be What I've Learned is the name of the YouTube channel. All right, okay, so next we're going to slide into the next portion of the show. Since it's the 4th, I got to kind of run through some of these things because I got to, celebrate the 4th with the little one that we have here. He's going to want to do some little 4th of July things. But we're going to go to the next portion of the show, which is going to be the economy. In the economy, we're looking at wage garnishment via delinquency of student loan debt. So we're going to go ahead and change this banner right here. Bam, change the banner. And we're going to look at people actually speaking on their student loan debts and being forced to pay it back and basically just being treated like child support people when it comes to these student loan debts. So we've already seen that credit card companies are suing people for being in delinquency or not paying their credit cards back. So now we're going to see how student loan is garnishing people's checks, and we're going to see how this pans out. This is going to be interesting to see right here for sure. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and pull up this first gentleman right here and hear people talk about said situation and see how their life is going, because we all know the economy has got its foot up everybody's rear end, and to have I guess you could say an unwanted garnishment on your income, like taking away, I think it's like 10 to 20% of your income on your check, with all your other expenses that you already have. It is what it is. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this video. Let's get this one started.
Y'all better call on people about y'all student loans. I'm not here to tell y'all that you should not take the advice from the people on the internet, but how you going to take advice from somebody that you can't verify and that you've never actually physically seen or talked to in person? I'll be completely honest, my loan got lost in the sauce. Most people's student loans went into forbearance because of everything that was going on with COVID. And I'll be completely honest, I kind of almost forgot about my loan. up until I saw all the stuff that was going on with them possibly garnishing people's wages. And I was like, that is not going to be me. So this morning, when I went to go check on my loan, I found out today that it actually had been sent to another provider. So I had to create a whole nother login, a whole nother account. But to make a long story short, I was able to bring my account current. I didn't even know that I was actually in default because I had moved out of state and I hadn't gotten any paperwork. I hadn't gotten any emails from any of my loan providers. It only took me about an hour to create the account, pull up all my loans, update all my contact information, and to reestablish my payments. Y'all better call them people. Y'all better call them people or they're going to hit you in your pockets directly. That's it. That's all. Bye.
Trump is pretty serious.
Okay, well, at least he was positive about being responsible for his wage garnishments. He actually attacked it head on and did what he was supposed to do. So shout out to him for actually doing the right thing and, took accountability and responsibility for his stuff. So, shout out to him. I thought he was trying to say that he didn't want nothing to do with it. Was just saying he wasn't just going to pay it. So, yeah, I give him credit for that one. But let's continue.
He says that he wants to start making people pay back their student loans because if you borrow money, you should pay it back. Trump administration wants to garnish wages of over 5 million Americans who defaulted on student loans this summer. And he's actually going all out for this. Like, this isn't some bluff. This actually seems legit. And the really scary thing is a lot of people just do not have the money. So you have a few groups of people here. So group number one, which is people who graduate with student loan debt, but they simply can't find a job because of how crappy this job market is. I mean, this dude sent over 300 applications from a basic help desk job paying $9 an hour to analyst positions at big firms and can't get any job offers. So you got person number one who can't get anything. Person number two who originally had a good job but eventually gets laid off because some of the biggest engineering companies are firing people due to a variety of different reasons. Bad market forecasts and also
they're firing a lot of people mainly due to AI. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Artificial intelligence. And then lastly, you have a lot of people here who want to pay off student loans, but they simply can't. And many people are also shocked about how high the interest rates are for student loans. There's also a lot of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, and they basically have given up in trying to pay back student loans. So one of the ways to make them pay back is to take small portions of their paychecks and basically garnish them. Now, another person also says that interest rates are extremely high as well. And after being compounded over several years and decades, people are really shocked to see a $30K student loan balloon up to $100K. So that's some really scary stuff. And that makes a lot of people really mad. And at the end of the day,
$30K to $100K. But I mean, you had those student loan debt for decades. That's kind of like you had it for decades. What did you, come on now. Come on.
Many young millennials and young Gen Z do not want to pay back student loan debt. They know they borrow the money, but they don't want to pay it back because of how lousy the job market is, how low the pay is recently. And also many of them just are living paycheck to paycheck. How can you expect them to pay that money back? Check out some of these videos.
They're about to start garnishing wages for these unpaid student loans, girl. I knew we was unified and not paying them. But girl, we got to stay unified with what we got coming up. So here's what I will recommend. If you can file for deferment, because I knew they stopped doing the income-based repayment plans. They stopped doing that a minute ago. But if you can still do the deferment, I would highly recommend applying for that because I just got approved for the deferment. If you want to know if you can get approved for the deferment, if you receive any type of public assistance, shut up, bitch. I'm talking like Medicaid, if you could get $5 worth of food stamps. Okay, if you could get $5 worth of food stamps, send them that approval letter and you will be deferred. My stuff just got deferred until October. Okay, girl, that's what we're going to have to do. And then by that time, I'm going to be back.
Okay, so Mr. Sassy is just trying to teach you to kick the can down the road. Is what he's saying. That's what he's saying. He's not saying take care of it. He's saying kick the can down the road, but still have it. But the further you kick it down the road, does it still occur interest that entire time? That's the question.
Back in school, okay. have to do. And then by that time, I'm going to be back in school. Okay.
Go to back to school and you're just going to get more student loan debt on top of student loan debt, was going to recur more interest. Bro, you were tripping. You tripping.
Because I'm not fit to play with them. I'm not fit to play with them. I don't have it. I don't have it. You'll get your little money. And I knew something was coming.
Little money. I don't know if it's little money. If it's little money, why can't you pay it back? That's the thing.
Which is why I looked up on it, because I don't know who's been checking their credit, but I haven't paid my student loans right? I was on the repayment plan like back in 2020. Once the pandemic hit, I stopped paying altogether, right? But I was on the repayment plan. Then they stopped the repayment plans, and I just been watching my credit. Back in March, my credit took like a hit of like 200 points because I ain't never paid them people. And I was like, oh, this is bad. And I was about to get it taken off my credit, but I know that that was the longest item.
They are never taking student loans away. They ain't ever taking. You know how much money is in student loans? And then you add the interest on top. How much money is it? I'm going to look that up while he's talking. We'll look up how much money is in student loans and ask. And you going to ask yourself, is the government going to let that money go to waste?
On my credit was them student loans. So I was like, let me go see if I could get a deferment or what other options they have. And I applied like 2 weeks ago, and it just went through like yesterday. Girl. But yeah, because I knew something was coming. Because like all that time I hadn't paid, and it just wasn't showing up on my credit report. But it was like back in March, like mid-March, they had put it on my credit report. I was like, I don't trust that, girl, but...
Here we go. In the United States, the total outstanding student loan debt, including principal and interest, is $1.77 trillion. This debt is held by 42 million borrowers. Federal student loan accounts for 1.6 trillion of this total, while private loans make up the remaining portion. The average federal student loan debt balance is $38,000. That's the average. Oh my goodness. He said you're going to get back your little money. The average is $38,000. Not saying he owes $38,000. He could owe 10 or whatever, but still they are the United States, the government is missing out on $1.77 trillion. They finna get that back. Yes, they are.
Garnishing wages is crazy.
Bro, that's child support. That's what child support does. Garnish your wages.
Garnishing wages is crazy. We all fit to be hitting the streets. Okay? Okay, it's about to be cash only around these parts.
I have $140,000 in student debt, and I'm not stressed about it. So let's talk about it. And I'll show you.
Oh my God!
Makeup look.
Wow!
It is from Merit. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. I have 2 sets of student loans. So I have the federal loans that most people have, and then I also have private loans. So lucky me. This is the Milk Contour Stick. I really like this because I'm trying to do clean beauty. When I said I wasn't stressed, that was kind of a lie. I just think it's so crazy how we are signing kids up who are 18 years old with $140,000 of student debt before they really realize like how much money that is and how much it's going to take to pay that off. I went to a private school in Connecticut, and I did that because I was in a 3+1 program, so I basically got 2 degrees for the price of 1 degree. I still got to finish at the same time as all of my friends who were just getting their bachelor's. At the time, I thought going to the private school because of the program was a really good option for me financially. But I definitely didn't realize how much $140,000 really is, or else I probably wouldn't have done it. But I've been paying off my loans since I was a freshman, yes, a freshman in college. So I kind of want to tell you what my plan is, how I'm doing it, and how I'm trying to get rid of these as quickly as possible. I am 24 and I didn't move out of my childhood home until I was 24. I stayed home for 2 years after school and basically was able to put all the money I was making towards my student debt, and honestly, I didn't save. which I definitely don't recommend. Definitely put some savings aside. I kind of learned that the hard way. When I moved out, I kind of realized just how hard it is to pay rent and get your own groceries and basically be an adult and have this looming student debt over your head. It's really hard, honestly, to look at my friends who are getting married and buying houses and just knowing that I'm extremely responsible and I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't do that, and it's not going to happen for quite a while. Essentially, what I do every single month is I put one paycheck towards my student debt, and then I do one paycheck towards my rent, utilities, groceries, and I kind of try to save just whatever little is left that I can. I know it's really hard for some people to put a full paycheck towards their student debt, but I would really recommend it if you can. I honestly just have it taken out right away, and it's like it never even hit my bank account. So I'm definitely pressed for money, unlike my other friends, but I'm really learning like how to be responsible with money, which, you know, I wish I learned when I was 18. For anyone who is starting their payments now for the federal loans, I really recommend putting more than what's due towards it so you can pay down the principal, because that's the thing that's going to get you, because you're just going to be paying interest over time when you could have brought that down a lot earlier. Don't get me wrong, it's really, really hard to have to say no to things, and I definitely feel a lot of anxiety over it that not a lot of my friends, well, actually none of my friends understand. This Merit blush is quite literally my favorite blush ever. I have the Rare Beauty one, and this is incredible. It's also very hard knowing that I'm responsible with my money. I'm paying so much more than I need to be paying towards my student debt every single month, and just knowing that I'm not going to be able to buy a house for a while is something that's been causing me a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. I also just think that it is the most wild thing that schools cost as much as they do these days, even state schools.
This child is dragging this on forever. Appreciate the follow. Thank you on Twitch. I mean, at least she's being somewhat responsible for paying her student loan back. I give her that. I mean, I give her that. But then she can't stay on topic because she's putting on makeup and stuff like that. But dude, $140,000 in student loan debt. That's brutal. That is extremely brutal. I don't know how much more she's going to talk. I'm trying to go over to the next person because she won't shut up. She's just going and going and going and going here. We'll get to the end of her right now. See what the next person says. But $140,000. And I think like the average down payment on a home right now is between like 60 and 100. I'm just guessing off the top of my head. I would say between 50 and 100 for a down payment on a home. And it doesn't, I don't know how much the interest incurs on top of it, but you know, if she's even paying enough, that will beat the interest at the same time. But let's see.
That you have a ton of student debt, and maybe your friends, they have parents that can pay for it, or they have other ways to pay for it. You are not the only one who has a ton of student debt, and you will get through it. Trust me, my biggest advice to you and my biggest advice to myself is just put as much as you can towards your student debt every single month, but make sure you have some savings, because that's something that I'm definitely working on, is building my savings, but just making sure that I'm absolutely obliterating my
just remember, if you get married to her, that debt becomes yours. So just keep that in mind. Be safe out there, people. But $140,000 in student loan debt. At least she's trying. I'm not gonna bag on her. She at least doing what she can. So shout out to her. But let's move on to the next person.
student debt as fast as possible.
I am over $100,000 in debt because of student loans. Do I think it was worth it? Do I regret my decision? let's get into it. So I decided to become a nurse when I was 24. I went to a community college to complete all of my prerequisite classes. I paid next to nothing to complete those. Once I was done and graduated with an associate's in science with a 3.8 GPA, I started applying to nursing programs. Applied to nursing programs throughout San Diego County, through Riverside County. 2 years went by and I had still not gotten into a nursing program. Bite the bullet and take out student loans and go to a private accelerated nursing program. I went to West Coast University. This school is notorious for being really expensive. Accelerated, so you graduate with your bachelor's degree in nursing in little over 2 years. The education itself, I really don't know if it was good or bad in the grand scheme of nursing programs throughout Southern California. What I will say is that I am in debt over $100,000 because of student loans. I don't know how long it's going to take me to pay that off.
You're in debt because of a decision that you made. Don't blame it on the loans. Blame it on the decision you chose to take. A loan, you pay back a loan. There's no way around it. If somebody loaned you something, you got to pay it back. If you loan somebody something, would you want them to give it back to you? And if you don't, then that's not somebody you would loan anything to. But $100,000. I mean, oh my goodness, oh my gosh.
In fact, it's just a distant future goal of mine. I'm not even worrying about it right now. Paying them on time, it is what it is.
Okay, now look, I say this again, I keep saying this. If they're treating this like child support, wage garnishment, what happens if your wages are being garnished? Or what happens if somehow you're finding out how to get paid under the table? Or what happens if they start abolishing and doing away with money and transfer everything over to digital and start going to UBI? If they transferred everything to digital and go over to UBI, you still owe debt. Will you get any UBI money? It's gonna be bad. This is a recipe for disaster.
Do I regret it? If I knew that getting into a regular public nursing program going to be that difficult, I would have just gone to West Coast right off the bat and saved myself those 2 years wasted. Why is it so hard to get into a nursing program? Is what I really want to know. There are so many RNs that are leaving bedside. Why would you want to make it so difficult for people to just get into nursing school? If you're thinking about going to West Coast and if you've been trying to get into a nursing program and you're having no luck, I would just say go for it. Go to a private program.
I mean, I've worked at a hospital and I'll tell you what, they will make sure that there's less people on the floor. I mean, that they not trying to put too many people on the floor. They'll give a nurse 4 or 5 patients easily, 4, 5, 6 patients easily for one nurse, when they could just divide them up into 3 patients each, but they won't do that. That taps into profit, and then it just depends on how much that taps into profit. You don't know what other overhead that the hospital has, so you can't really tell them how to manage their business, but they're gonna work the dog ish out of you. So yeah, they're gonna burn you out for sure. They're gonna burn you out as these nurses. I don't mean, at least the long-term care facility I used to be at, they will burn you out for sure. So that's one thing. So you probably have a hard time getting in, and plus the mindset changes. The mindset of old nurses back in the day, like the nurses who've been nursing since the 90s, versus these new nurses, it's not the same mindset. And I've even heard it from older nurses who like a lot of these nurses have bad attitudes. Like I've seen nurses who are not people persons. They don't like dealing with people, but yet you're a nurse. So it's crazy. And as time goes on, it's gonna get worse because people's mindset and needing just a job, and they're in survival mode at all times. It's not gonna be a place that people want to hire anybody with a bad attitude, and especially if they're gonna add a workload onto you, and then on top of that, all of the stress that comes with all the extra, you do get the job, and then your wages get garnished on top of that, and your bills all pile up. It's gonna be a real big shit show, basically.
Program that you know you have a guaranteed foot in the door. If there's one thing I regret is that I didn't start sooner.
I'm not sure how relatable this is going to be for my viewers.
$200,000 in student loan debt. Oh my goodness.
Demographic, but I need to talk about the debt that I'm swimming and drowning in, and the anxiety that I have every day. Horrible anxiety because of it. Now, me personally,
bro, that jawline is wicked. That jawline is wicked. Bruh. Oh my goodness, that jaw is brutal. Look at that.
I am almost, I'd say about $200,000 in debt total, with all my student loans and credit card debt and just other debt. So, like, and I know I chose to go to NYU. I don't regret it at all. I loved living in New York City. I loved NYU, and we all knew I was crying about it like 2 years ago when I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in debt after I graduate. But now that we have to like pay it back.
You knew this was coming. 2 years ago, you were crying about being in debt. Now that you got to pay it back, look at her face. Now that I got to pay it back, look at this face. You knew this. You said, I knew I was going to be in debt 2 years ago. But now that I got to pay it back, what you got to say about yourself?
I'm extremely alarmed and really scared and terrified. And like, obviously living in New York is really, really expensive. So I have a lot of credit cards that I'm pretty much maxed out on. So don't really have any credit that I can use, and my credit score sucks because of that and because of my loans. So that's really cool. Also, I just took literally like the first job I was offered after I graduated because I didn't have a job, and debt, credit cards, medical bills, and they're paying me literally the bare minimum. But I wanted to move back to New York City as soon as possible because I wanted to, like, what?
Why? Why would you move to New York? New York is stupid expensive, and your reason is I wanted to. Not because it was a good decision, not because there was a logical or thoughtful reason behind it, just what I wanted.
24-year-old doesn't want to go back to living on their own. Like, I don't want to live with my parents, no offense. So I'm gonna.
I can agree with on that. I get it, but I mean, you gotta make up a plan and come with it.
Do that because I love New York City. So I know what you're thinking. Wow, you're really crazy because you're in that much debt and you're gonna go move to the most expensive city in the world. Yes, I am. With that being said, more than half of my monthly income will be going towards my rent. So I have to get a second job to work in order to live in New York City. And still with that second job, I'm going to be struggling to pay my bills. And then how am I going to have fun? Like what? Like going out to dinner one night cost me like.
You're not gonna have fun. There's usually no fun involved. Fun is a fleeting emotion. We'll just call it that. Kind of like happiness. We'll call fun a fleeting emotion like happiness. You have to sacrifice to have fun, and that's what you're not trying to do.
$100. And don't even get me started on the medical bills because I keep getting these notices that I have to pay like $20 for an appointment I went to like 2 years ago. And then they're like, we're gonna send you to collections. So that is fun. I also have a dentist appointment next week, and they're gonna literally be like, you have 8 cavities. So looking forward to that bill as well. But yeah, like I really just want to cry and scream and throw up all day, every day. And I don't know if anyone can relate, but I'm gonna be in debt for the rest of my life. So might as well live it up in New York City and go into more debt.
What if they make this debt passed down to like family members or children? What if, you know what I mean? Because if you die with the debt, what if they pass it down? That's the question. Or pass it up, or pass it to someone in your family. Whether if you don't have any heir or children, what if they pass it to like your parents? Like, they not gonna let this go. I don't see this being let go.
Hi. So a few days ago, I got an email that my student loans got sold to another company. So I went straight on the company's website and I filled out a deferment application because, you know, I don't have the money to pay for these loans. So I filled out a deferment application. So in order to qualify for the application, I guess, like, you have to submit, like, your income. So I submitted my income for my deferment. So that way I won't have to pay my student loans for, like, 3 years, because my student loans are not today's problem. They're tomorrow's problem. But not tomorrow's problem, like tomorrow's problem. So I submitted my application. I'm like, okay, like, they're going to approve it, and then I'm going to have to pay my student loans for, like, some 3 years. I won't have to worry about them. They'll take them off my credit, right? Why the fuck did I get emailed this morning, and they told me that your deferment application was not approved, and although it wasn't approved, we have options to get your payments lowered. I literally just told y'all that I could not pay this shit. And y'all just telling me, like, yeah, it wasn't approved, but, like, we can have you pay less money. I can't pay y'all at all. Like, this was a forewarning. Like, me filling out this application was a forewarning to let y'all know I cannot and will not be paying my student loans. Like,
I think they're going to start putting people in prison at some point, only because it will be a breach of a contract. That's my understanding. I think that's where this is going to start headed to. That's my opinion. I think that's where they're going to start aiming this at, is they're going to start putting people in jail for breach of contract. And if they do that, that's literally the same thing as child support. Verbatim.
at least right now. So it's like, y'all have been warned, so don't keep calling me and putting shit on my credit, because me filling out this application was to let y'all know I cannot and will not be paying them right now. So have a good day.
So I just got off the phone with my student loan borrower people, and they were like, hey, so we're looking at your account and we're seeing that you've accrued a lot of interest over the past several years. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's impossible, because I've had no interest in paying those back since I dropped out of college.
Not me entering my final stage of full-blown crash out. I'm literally crashing out. I was so excited for tonight. Oh my God, I'm so worked up. I was gonna get dressed up. I mean, I still am. I'm definitely getting a martini now. Last week, I fucking hate student loans. I set up.
I mean, you can put that martini money towards the student loan.
Or last month, I set up auto pay because I don't want to forget. I don't like being late. You can never get on the phone with these stupid student loan people. And I log on today because I have to get my fucking tax documents. Fuck my life. Life never ends. I'm like, oh my God, it says my payment's late. And I'm like, how does that even make sense? I set up auto pay last month with my card and my bank and all the stupid information. And then I call them today and they're like, it's going to be a 3-hour and 50-minute wait time. And then I'm trying to have dad help me. And I'm like, what did you guys have me set up auto pay for that if my payments are now late? And I'm like, I'm not crashing out over Mohila. You're ugly. I don't have time for this. I'm crying over a fucking stupid student loan.
I want to talk about student.
I mean, it ain't too stupid, you know. It's a real thing. It's a real thing, and it's haunting you.
Loans real quick, because I just found out something that is so frustrating. This is my current student loan balance, $21,444. My original amount was $28,500. So you can see I've already paid off around $7,000 worth of my student loans, which, yes, I am really proud of. But I felt like I was doing everything correctly, and today I called up my student loan servicer, Ed Financial, and I said, hey, I just want to make sure that my overage that I am paying every month, because the amount that they quoted me that I should be paying towards my student loans every month is $250. at least somewhere around there. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to pay $500 a month. I'm going to double it and pay $500 a month. So I'm paying off that principal faster. And while yes, I'm paying off that principal a little bit faster, the lady that I spoke with on the phone told me that I can't actually choose where that payment goes. So even though I'm paying $250 extra, I can't say put that amount towards my principal. And the reason being that these numbers that they set saying, here, this is the suggested amount that we think that you should pay towards your student loan is usually only really covering the bare minimum. And the reason that they do this is so that you're still accruing interest. And if you have unpaid interest because you're paying so low on your loans, that interest will then start accruing interest. And even though you're making these payments, your loan amount is going to keep going up because the interest accrues interest, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So
Yeah, that sounds like usury. They made you a debt slave, and there's no way to get out of it unless, at this rate, the way it's sounding, it's going to turn all of these people to sugar daddy lifestyles. That's the only thing I can add up to it. That's where this is headed.
Went in and looked, and you can see here, this is my last payment. I paid $500. $318 of that went towards my principal. Around $181 went towards my interest. And if you can see here, back in October, I paid $223 in interest, which is only $25 less than my payment. And so I asked her on the phone, I said, hey, what's going on with that? And she said, you actually have unpaid interest. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. But I didn't realize my interest was accruing interest because I have these unsubsidized loans. So even though I graduated in 2020, right into a forbearance period, this still had interest from when I was in college. So I said, okay, great. That's definitely my bad. I didn't really realize that. But can I pay that unpaid interest now so that it stops accruing more interest? And she said, actually, no. Just like the fact that you can't go in and say, put this money towards my principal, you also can't go in and say, okay, put this money towards my unpaid interest. So even though today I have $229 of unpaid interest, I can't say, here, Ed Financial, here's $229 to cover that unpaid interest. So that unpaid interest will continue accruing interest until my loans are completely paid off. And this is the root of the entire problem right here. It is my money. It is my loan. I should be able to say where it goes, obviously within reason. I understand it's a loan.
That's a trap. That is a straight up trap. So even though she had 500, the 500 could have taken care of the interest, but boy, this is gonna go down in the history books as one of the biggest rug pulls known to man. This is brutal. This is bad. Oh my goodness. There's nothing that you can do at all.
I understand it's accruing interest, but if I have unpaid interest, I should be able to say, here is the money. Please pay the interest. Or just be transparent.
So you basically have a principal that keeps going up and you have an interest that keeps going up, and they're charging interest on the interest and they're charging interest on the principal, and you don't have no say so as to where the money goes, however much you put into it, unless you just pay it all off at once. Then it's like, hey, here's all of it, wipe it off clean. But now they have it set up to a point to where the economy's so bad, you're not going to make that money unless you live a debaucherous sugar daddy lifestyle or hit the lottery. Is where it's headed.
Parent with me about where my money is going, what is supposed to be paid, and how to pay it.
Taking out student loans was the single-handedly worst mistake I've ever made in my entire life. At this point, like, a college education is pointless. It was pointless. There's no hope. I've been paying on my student loans for more than 13 years now, and I've more than paid back the amount that I took out, and then some because of interest. And there's all this like misinformation and false hope around forgiveness and qualifying payments and I checked the boxes for 90% of the qualifying factors, but I'm gonna have to pay on my loans for another 5 years minimum. And that's if there's even any type of program around that time for forgiveness before I can even qualify, even though I meet the qualifications now.
Always remember that the word program means foresight of an event happening.
But
That's why the program is in place. The program is a foresight of an event happening. If you can remember that's what program means, you'll understand and stay away from them.
There's nothing that can be done. Nothing has made me feel more hopeless and just helpless and just at full defeat than these student loans.
Hey, so this is probably the most vulnerable post I will have ever made in the history of time. And for those of you who this little blue halo is already triggering you, I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna hopefully make you feel better, and I'm on.
I don't know if y'all saw over her shoulder, but it says 192. That's all I see. And I'm just going to bet that it's 192,000 and some odd dollars, but we finna find out. Here we go.
Honestly, having a weekly crash out, I need help from you as well. This is how much money I owe in student debt for my physician assistant degree. And before you go ahead and take debt for my physician assistant degree.
Physician assistant? You might as well went for the full, you might as well have became a physician assistant. Jesus Christ.
And before you go ahead and take out the phrase that is so commonly used, oh, but you knew how much you were taking out in the beginning. No, a lot of this has to do with interest alone accruing, while I am in a hell of a limbo of what we like to call administrative forbearance, trying to get into the SAVE plan. So I worked with a student loan counselor after I graduated, and I was told to consolidate all of my Direct Plus grad student loans to be one loan so that I could apply to the SAVE repayment plan. Right as soon as I started and submitted my application was when all of the chaos happened in the courts, where they just can't get their head out of their ass and figure out what they're doing. And so
No. They know exactly what they doing, and they got they right where they want you. They know what they doing. This is not a mistake. This is by design, and it is executed perfectly.
Never actually got into the SAVE plan. And so I have been accruing interest at a 7% rate. I've not had to pay my monthly payment. My monthly payment has been $0 because of a previous tax return when I was making $0 income as a student. But still, this amount is a literal noose around my neck. And I don't think I will ever pay this off. I fear that I will not be able to ever own a home as someone still earning 6 figures salary. Let alone children. I would love.
Wait, she earns 6-figure salary and still, oh my god. Wait, let me make sure I heard that right.
To ever own a home as someone still earning 6 figures salary.
So she makes 6 figures, but she won't be able to own a home, and she's got kids with $200,000 in debt. My Lord, and you make 6 figures. Wow. Talk about, boy, they knew what. Can you imagine? You set up a system designed to where the person can come out on the other end making 6 figures. However, on the other end, you're like, but I'm going to make that 6 figures completely useless. So regardless of the 6 figures that you have, I'm going to make that 6 figures just null and void. It don't matter because I'm still going to have you tied due to interest. And again, if you look at my previous videos where I did the central bank and the enslavement of mankind, it talked about this. It talked about usury and how the central banks worked and how they were trying to stop these people from doing usury to people and charging interest on interest, basically. And this is what we're seeing. It's in real time.
let alone children. I would love and aspire to have a child someday, but
Okay. So she doesn't have children. I thought she did. She makes 6 figures, but she ain't got no kids. Well, damn, you would have more money to pay it back.
this really, really, I don't want to say like makes me suicidal, but like it truly makes it really hard to get out of bed every morning. And I know I'm not alone. I know I don't even have it that bad, but I'm truly asking as a cry for help, like how you compartmentalize the stress of something like this, knowing that you'll never, ever get out of debt, because it would take an act of God to take this amount away. And people repay the principal loan multiple times over in situations like me, but they never get rid of their debt because of the system at hand. And that is
You pay the loan, you pay the principal loan off, but you're trapped in interest. I literally have a video that goes over this verbatim. Oh my goodness. I mean, at the end of the day, the Bible stands correct. The Bible is on point. You can't stray from that book, boy. I don't get how people say they don't believe in it, because if you pay attention, it's a book about staying out of debt and basically walking in alignment in a particular way. It's golly.
Is what is so fucked about student loans for people in advanced degrees like doctor, nurse, anesthetist, nurse practitioner, physician assistant. What else can I?
That's another thing. She's right. Estheticians, they make bank. Doctors make bank. All these people who she just named, these people are high income earners, guaranteed 6 figures, some probably even close to the $250,000, $200,000 mark. And they are going to be basically, ball shackled and chained by this student loan interest that they'll never be able to pay off, even though they're able to pay it off, but the interest will never stop. There's not, the evil genius plan of this is sad. It's sad. It really ain't funny. It's sad.
I think of any degree program that takes multiple loans and at least 6 figures to take out to go to these programs. And I did this to get a better life for myself, get a salary that actually amounted to something for my future family. And yet this is what happened. And a lot of it wasn't even the fault of my own, because I had no way of predicting that this would happen. I did have
Nah, this was your fault. You took out the loan. I mean, I do get the interest on top of interest part. I do get that, but you still took out the loan. So this is your fault. This is a decision, the choice that you made. I mean, yeah, this is the route you chose. There ain't no way around it.
Had no way of knowing that SAVE would not be around in the future. PSLF is my only option. I do work at a 501c3, but even then, the payment is like pushing almost $1,000 a month, and that will soon become even unaffordable for me. So yeah, I'm literally at a loss.
Just found out that my estimated student loan debt payoff is in the year 2049. 2049. 2049. Do I have my fiance start planning my funeral today or
2049, bruh. And the thing is that there is no guarantee that it would end there. It'll keep going. That's today. That's, well, not today, but whenever she made this video, that's from when she made the video. That's the made to pay my days 2049. So can you, as she said, her fiance. So he's about to incur this. Well, she ain't married yet. So if he goes through with this marriage, that debt is rolling right over to him. So is it worth getting married at this point if you know that your fiance or your spouse or the person you're finna marry has debt that can't be paid off to 2049? Because success is not going to happen, and kids are going to be a huge burden with that hanging over your head. Yo, shout out to these people in this video, and yeah, let's give them a round of applause. Man, that is a very, very, very unfortunate situation to be in. I don't wish that on nobody. That super sucks. That's the only way I could say it. That's painful to be in that much debt and you make six figures and you still can't pay it off. You, even though you paid the loan back that you took out, it's the interest, but man, I want to go back and find the video that I actually went over that explained how this process was working out. It literally explains this verbatim. Like, I want to go find it because it's driving me crazy. Go look up or go to my videos. You'll see in my videos, in the previous videos, it'll be called Central Banking: The Enslavement of Mankind, part 1 through 8. Just start at 1 and go watch all of them, or just go watch the video yourself. However you want to do it, but go watch and you'll see them explain this stuff verbatim on what's happening and how things are going and how things are happening. And you know, it was something that Henry Ford spoke about. It was something that all the way back to Julius Caesar saw coming, but every time somebody spoke out about it, unfortunately, they all got, you know, let me show you what they got. They all ended up getting this. Every single time. It never failed. Every single person who tried to, you know, stop it, shut it down, put a slowdown to it, everybody who went in after it. I mean, everybody, it didn't matter who you was over the history of time. Every time you tried to, you know, stop this, or it was like, hey, stay in your lane. Don't know. We finna make this happen. So, man, oh man, that is very unfortunate, dude. But you know what? We're gonna take this right here. We're gonna segue into the final segment of the show, which is the AI portion of the show. And the AI portion of the show, we're gonna look at the most shocking AI robots that we got revealed that we're gonna see moving toward in the future. So, if we're gonna look at the student loan debt. So we just looked at the student loan debt. Okay, now we're gonna look at AI and the robots that we're gonna see moving forward into the future. Now, if we look at these robots moving forward into the future, we're gonna see that these robots are gonna be taking over jobs which these people are gonna need to pay off their student loan debt, which is going to kind of be a huge issue, because if you're supposed to be able to pay off this debt, but even if you pay off the debt and you still owe interest, and then your job gets taken by AI, what do? Well, we're going to look at the robots that are going to be coming through in the future, basically taking over people's jobs and people's lives. So let's go ahead and jump into the next segment of the show. Let me go to switch this banner before we do. And I do got to fix my intros. I didn't do that because today is the 4th and I got stuff I got to do after I get done with the show. But we're on the last one. This is a long video, but we're going to cut it short at some point. But let's go ahead and go in. We're going to look at the 54 most shocking robots that are going to be coming up into the future. We might hit an ad as soon as we start, but let's go ahead and just jump right into it. And let me change that banner before we get started. And here we go.
They told us humanoid
Shout out to AI Revolutions, fair use.
robots were decades away, but they lied. Some of them are already working in factories, greeting guests in malls, even flying planes. And in this video, we're going country by country, uncovering the most advanced, the most shocking, and the most disturbingly human-like robots ever built. We start in China, where things have gone way beyond anything the West expected. These aren't sci-fi prototypes. They're real machines walking, flipping, lifting, and even flying planes. Unitree's got robots doing kung fu.
So they're walking, flipping, and even flying the planes.
Lifting and even flying.
Now, this makes me think about military. You know what I mean? I always think about the military and the Air Force with robots flying the plane. I mean, this makes me think about that. All this aviation stuff that people do, it'll completely be unnecessary, because then you'll just have a military full of robots and you don't need people for it. So there's that.
Planes. Unitree's got robots doing kung fu. Xpeng made a robot with EV level sensors that plays soccer. And there's one bot that just ran a half marathon like it was nothing. Seriously. Then we head over to Japan, where robots are swinging swords, working railways, and even improvising in live theater. After that, South Korea, Norway, the UK, France, Spain, Italy, Germany, and more. Each country has its own brand of humanoid madness. And yeah, some of them are straight up terrifying. But don't blink when we hit Russia and Poland.
think that robot was malfunctioning. This one right here, when they were showing this one, I think this robot went off the hinges and malfunctioned, and they had to shut it off. So this robot was swinging and trying to hit them and was actually being violent, and they had to like go around it and shut it off. But look how they're responding.
Them are straight up terrifying. But don't blink when we
Like they're just computer nerds who've never even taken a punch to the face, let alone understand how to handle a dangerous situation with a robot that could clearly shatter your jaw with one accidental punch.
hit Russia and Poland, because those two are cooking up some of the most unsettling robots you've never heard of. One uses artificial muscles that move like human tissue. Another looks and talks so real, it'll leave you second guessing if it's even a machine. And at the end, we're heading back to the West, the United States. Boston Dynamics, Tesla, Figure AI, Sanctuary, some of the most powerful humanoids out there. We're talking full-scale deployment, autonomous reasoning, factory-ready labor, and yes, a few that are already replacing humans on the job. So yeah, get ready.
JS analysis, I will check that out. I might have to screenshot this to make sure this doesn't go. Where is this? Where are you at? Are you on Kick? What are you on? What are you on? Twitch? Are you on YouTube? Which one are you on? You're on Twitch. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna highlight this and save this. Well, it doesn't even show me the whole thing. It's not showing me your whole message over here on Twitch, which is kind of, oh wait, never mind, I lied, I had something blocking it. All right, I'm gonna highlight your message, I'm gonna go check it out. Hopefully you're not pulling my leg or nothing like that. I'm gonna save it and I'm gonna go look at it later on and see what is up. Hopefully this pulls up and then I'll go take a look at that and see what that's about. I do appreciate that.
This is not some shiny tech demo or a YouTube prank. These humanoids are real, they're walking among us, and they're way more advanced than most people think. Some will amaze you, some will disturb you, and a few might just freak you out completely. Stay till the end, because I promise you've never seen anything like this. Okay, we all know.
Oh. Well, let me pull this back. And if you just saw that I had up on the screen by accident, it's okay if you actually see that and want to hack into it. It's a demo account, so you won't be getting any real money if you do hack into that Forex account. So you won't be hurt nothing over here. So we good. So if you do see that, want to take it, screenshot it, you'll be a-okay because it's a demo account. This is fake money, so you ain't hurting me. So we're good on this side. Anyway, let's continue with this video real quick. Where is it at? There we go. Let's continue.
The little robot that does kung fu, dances like it's on TikTok, and casually flips backwards like it's no big deal. But behind the viral clips is something way more impressive. This machine might just be the first true consumer-grade humanoid robot. Standing about 4 feet 4 inches tall, or 1.32 meters, and weighing 77 pounds, 35 kilograms, the G1 is compact, fast, and surprisingly affordable. It launched in May 2024, and Unitree wasted no time showing off what it could do, carrying 5-kilogram crates, dropping into push-ups, even dancing side by side with its quadruped cousin, the Go 2. Inside, the G1 runs on a 1.5 kilowatt-hour quick-swap battery, powering 23 high-torque joints and twin-depth cameras that help it navigate and interact in real time. Its custom-built U-Power actuators spin up to 360 RPM, giving the robot enough agility to walk at over 4.5 miles per hour.
And just a heads up, this video was made 2 weeks ago, so I don't know how recent or how old or how new these robots are, but they're up to date.
Meters per second, and jump a 16-inch box without a run-up. The price? Around 9,500 USD, or roughly 65,000 yuan for the developer kit. A tenth of what similar robots in the West cost.
A tenth.
Unitree's founder Wang Shengsing calls it the Raspberry Pi of humanoids, hoping it sparks a global wave of DIY innovation. And it's already happening. People are teaching it to play ping pong, patrol stores, and even greet guests. If Unitree nails mass production, the G1 could be the spark that lights China's humanoid robotics revolution. And while the G1 might be stealing headlines for its size to skill ratio, its taller sibling, the the Unitree H1 is playing in an entirely different league. Standing at about 5 feet 11 inches and weighing just 104 pounds, 47 kilograms, the H1 is all limbs, muscle, and insane speed. When it was revealed in August 2023, it didn't just walk onto the scene, it sprinted in and shattered the Guinness World Record for the fastest humanoid robot, clocking in at over 7.3 miles per hour, 3.3 meters per second. And just to flex, it followed that up with a standing backflip that looked almost effortless. The H1 runs on a carbon fiber frame powered by 600 Newton-meter actuators in the knees and a model predictive controller that recalculates its every step 500 times per second. In tests, engineers even shoved it with wooden beams just to show it could recover instantly. Inside the torso, you've got dual hot swappable batteries for about...
Hey, these robots is like pretty agile and able to move and be completely like mobile. And I mean, one that ran, I don't know how long that marathon race was, but it ran that with no problem. And like I said, these things will be out within 5 years for sure. We'll be seeing these things for sure on the street in public in 5 years. And they'll, you know, hopefully you made a decision what you want to do with your life by that time. But bruh, it's gonna be brutal.
4 hours of operation, and in the boosted version, a LiDAR array and NVIDIA Orin chip for real-time object detection and vision. And this isn't just a demo robot. Chinese logistics giant JD.com has already begun piloting H1 robots to load packages onto delivery bots. Rumors suggest
load packages onto the delivery box. So what is that? Amazon, UPS, FedEx, and any other warehouse job, but those are gone.
Unitree will launch a stripped-down H1 Lite priced under $90,000, which would massively undercut anything comparable from the West. If they pull it off, don't be surprised if the next robot you see hauling boxes at the airport is jogging and wearing a Unitree badge. Now, 2025 is the year of AI agents, and Deep Agent from Abacus AI is easily one of the most powerful we've seen. They're also sponsoring today's video, which honestly makes me powerhouse tips the scales at 154 pounds, 70 kilograms, and borrows brain power straight from Xpeng's autonomous driving stack. A rooftop solid-state LiDAR gives it a 720-degree wraparound view, while twin 8-megapixel cameras identical to the ones in the company's EVs feed an onboard NVIDIA Orin. Iron's 60 torque-dense joints grant 200 degrees of freedom, enough to thread a needle with one hand and hoist a 20-pound box with the other.
Thread a needle with one hand. That's ridiculous.
In the debut demo, the robot dribbled a soccer ball.
Look at these people, bro. These robots are outperform these people now. I mean, these, like, come on.
Loaded car floor mats onto a pallet and fist bumped CEO He Xiaoping, all without teleop help. Xpeng says the liquid-cooled batteries are hot swappable and good for 6 hours of mixed factory duty. The price target, about $70,000, would undercut most Western rivals by half. Pilot units are already roaming Xpeng's EV assembly line, scanning VIN plates and fetching torque wrenches.
I think these are also in the Mercedes dealership, or was it the dealership or the assembly line? I think some of these are already in the Mercedes assembly line. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but yeah, these robots are already going to be put manufacturing a car, so jobs are just being erased and eradicated quickly. But yeah, there's that.
If scaling goes to plan, Iron may greet customers in showrooms next year and, before long, handle the late shift on China's sprawling production floors.
If it's going to be at the showroom, then it's going to be a sales rep. So car salesmen, days are numbered.
Walker S1 is UBTE Robotics industrial-grade humanoid robot designed to take on real factory work, not just walk around and wave. Revealed in 2024, this biped stands about 5 feet 7 inches, 167 pounds, 76 kilograms, and is built to tackle the kind of repetitive, physically taxing jobs most humans would rather avoid. Equipped with full body articulation and advanced AI perception, Walker S1 can perform tasks like visual inspection, component assembly, screw tightening, and parcel handling, all while keeping balance and adapting to shifting factory conditions. It can carry up to 33 pounds, 15 kilograms, without compromising stability. And, thanks to its reactive gate system, it maneuvers around carts, conveyor belts, and human workers smoothly. In 2024, it was deployed at major factories including BYD, Audifal, Geely, and Foxconn, where it replaced human labor in tasks like detecting refrigerant leaks, jobs that are both hazardous and time-consuming. UBTech claims Walker S1 could eventually handle up to 20% of factory operations, cutting human labor by half in some workflows. What makes this robot special is its brain.
The question would be when would that happen? Because we're in 20, like I'm going 2030. And what is it, 2027, 2028? Medicaid is going to be gone. 2032, Social Security is going to be gone. So by that time, for sure, robots are going to be all over the place.
BrainNet system, a shared neural architecture that lets multiple Walker S1s learn from each other in real time. If one robot figures out a faster way to tighten a screw or detect a fault, every other unit learns it too. With plans to mass produce 500 to 1,000 units.
Because they learn simultaneously. Like when one learns it, they all connect and learn it simultaneously all together. So if one cracks a code or you know, figures something out, then they're all going to be programmed instantly with that same knowledge.
It's by the end of 2025. Walker S1 is...
What that say? It says in January 2025, UBTech announced plans to begin mass production of Walker S series amid to deliver between 500 and 1,000 units per year end. In addition to Audi, major manufacturers including BYD, Zeekr, Geely, Foxconn have adopted UBTech's robots. So maybe it was Audi. I don't know if it was Mercedes or Audi. I'll look it up.
500 to 1,000 units by the end of 2025. Walker S1 is shaping up to be one of the most serious humanoid workforce deployments ever attempted in Asia. You've probably seen the clip, this humanoid robot sprinting across the Gobi Desert like it's training for a marathon. That's Star 1.
Okay, so here we go. So I have right here, I typed up, many car manufacturers are actively using robots in their production process. Leading companies like Audi, BMW, Ford, General Motors, Honda, Nissan, Stellantis, Tesla, Toyota, and Volkswagen are known for their widespread adoption of robotics. These robots perform tasks such as welding, painting, assembly, and materials handling. So those are the ones. I said Mercedes, but Mercedes isn't on here. However, all of those I just named are on here. So as we're going to see, and they're doing welding, painting, assembly, material handling, and 3D printing. Jesus. So yeah, there's that.
The latest creation from Robot Era. And it's already turning heads in the robotics world, standing about 5'6" or 1.7 meters, and weighing 143 pounds, 65 kilograms. This bot is all about movement. It's not trying to play the violin or serve drinks. It was built to run, climb, and handle rugged terrain like a mechanical athlete. Star 1 can hit speeds up to 8 miles per hour. That's 13 kilometers per hour. Which is faster than most people jog. But what makes it really special is its balance system and joint coordination. It's got high torque actuators in its legs and a dynamic gate control system that adjusts in real time, so even on sand, rocks, or slopes, it stays upright and stable. The team behind Star 1 says this robot is just the beginning. The plan is to develop future models for security patrols, delivery in outdoor areas, and even emergency response in places where drones or wheels can't go. With tests already running in extreme environments, Robot Era's Star 1 could be China's next big export in humanoid tech, built for the outdoors and always ready to move.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up skipping forward because this, like I said, this is a long video. It's like an hour and something long. I'm not doing all that. And it's like 54 of the most shocking robots. So we're going to skip all the way down to a further piece of the thing and then another piece, then we're just going to end it. But here's another one. We're going to go from here, watch a little bit of this, go to the further end, watch a few more, and then we'll be done. So here we go. Let's check this out. Let's see what we got. And we are in Russia, Mother Russia.
Russia's Robo-C2, released by Promobot LLC in 2024, is more android than robot, built to look, sound, and even breathe like a human. This head and torso humanoid is focused on hyper-realistic face-to-face interaction, and it's already being deployed in banks, government offices, airports, and museums.
Banks, government office, airports, and museums. Bruh. That's in Russia. So, I mean, if they're doing that there, it's just a matter of time.
At first glance, RoboC2's skin texture, blinking, and lip syncing seem more like a movie prop than an AI interface. But under the surface, it houses a full conversational AI stack, facial recognition, and integration with back-end systems like ID verification, queue management, or visitor logs. It can remember past users, greet them by name, answer questions, and update information in real time. The voice system is multilingual, and the face can be customized to resemble real individuals, including historical figures, celebrities, or corporate mascots. Promobot even offers a digital twin service where the robot mimics your voice and expressions based on video training data.
Wow.
RoboC2 isn't built to walk or lift things. It's built to hold eye contact and build trust. And in places where human staff can't
Build
always
trust.
be present, that can be more valuable than you'd expect. Human staff can't always be present, that can be more valuable than you'd expect. Saudi Arabia stepped into the humanoid race in 2024 with the unveiling of Sara, the country's first interactive humanoid robot developed by QSS Robotics in partnership with the Saudi Data and AI Authority. Sara isn't just a research prototype or showroom mascot. She's designed to represent a new wave of culturally grounded, socially intelligent robot. Standing around 5 feet 6 inches, 1.67 meters tall, and built with a smooth human-like exterior, Sara speaks fluent Arabic and English, responds to voice commands, and uses facial recognition to maintain eye contact and personalize interactions. Her core purpose? Human engagement. From greeting visitors at national events to helping guests navigate government buildings, museums, and tech expo.
Wow.
Sara made her public debut at LEAP 2024, Saudi Arabia's flagship tech conference, where she held real-time conversations with attendees, asked follow-up questions, and responded with facial expressions that matched her speech. Powered by a custom-built LLM fine-tuned for regional dialects and social etiquette, Sara can even recite poetry, tell jokes, and answer questions about Saudi culture. While she doesn't yet walk, her upper body gestures, interactive dialogue system, and emotional awareness make her a surprisingly lifelike.
Emotional awareness. Bruh, get the hell out of here. Emotional awareness. Bruh. Come on.
Assistant. As Saudi Arabia pushes forward with Vision 2030, Sara might just become the first AI ambassador for a new kind of high-tech, high-touch future.
Vision for 2030. That's their vision for 2030, bruh. Right around the corner.
After years of jaw-dropping acrobatics from its hydraulic cousin Boston Dynamics, unveiled the all-new Electric Atlas in April 2024, and it's not just a reboot, it's a complete transformation. Sleek, clean, and shockingly quiet, this version is built not for stunt reels, but for real-world work. Standing at 5 feet 9 inches, 1.75 meters, and weighing about 180 pounds, 82 kilograms, Electric Atlas is all electric and fully optimized for industrial use. It's faster, lighter, and far more agile than previous models, and now it's tetherless, meaning no more bulky power cords dragging behind. In the launch demo, Atlas effortlessly picked up and loaded heavy toolboxes, spun 180 degrees mid-stride, and recovered from awkward terrain like it was walking on flat ground. But what really stood out was the precision. The robot could manipulate
Look how that
objects,
thing is
realign
moving.
its stance, and respond to sudden changes using onboard cameras and force sensors, all in real time. Atlas is now being integrated into Hyundai's factory pilot programs, moving car parts and staging tools in dynamic assembly lines. Boston Dynamics isn't trying to entertain anymore. This time, they're building a robot that's ready to clock in and outperform a human in raw movement, strength, and stamina. Optimus Gen 3, revealed in early 2025, marks a huge leap from Tesla's earlier humanoid prototypes. This version isn't shuffling across a stage, it's walking with purpose, lifting.
Look at that thing was was weaving in and out around objects and everything. It wasn't even walking a straight line. It was weaving in and out perfectly.
Huge leap from
Look
Tesla's
at this.
earlier humanoid prototypes. This version isn't shuffling across a stage, it's walking with purpose, lifting real weight and executing precise tasks inside actual Tesla gigafactories. Built at 5'8", 1.73 meters, and weighing roughly 150 pounds, 68 kilograms, Gen 3 is Tesla's most refined humanoid yet. With new articulated hands, fully integrated Tesla-designed actuators, and upgraded AI vision trained using the same data stack that powers FSD, this robot isn't guessing its way through tasks, it's learning fast. Tesla showed the robot autonomously sorting battery cells, moving crates, and doing light assembly work with the kind of hand precision you wouldn't expect from a general-purpose robot. CEO Elon Musk claims it can do more useful things every month, and the company's goal is mass production at costs eventually.
Now, the question here is, you see this robot here and you see people working alongside with it. But I mean, these people are going to be replaced at some point. So the question is, like, when is this going to happen? Because it's like already in progress.
Essentially below $20,000 per unit. While it still can't run or handle dynamic balance challenges like Atlas, Optimus Gen 3 is now fully integrated into Tesla's own manufacturing workflow, a testing ground that no other robotics company can match. It's not a concept anymore, it's a factory worker with its own badge. When Figure AI unveiled Figure 02 in 2024, it marked a serious shift in how humanoid robots were perceived, not as research props or marketing gimmicks, but as practical, scalable labor solutions. At 5 feet 6 inches and about 132 pounds, 60 kilograms, Figure 02 was built from the start to replace human labor in repetitive, dangerous, or physically demanding jobs, starting with logistics. Its form is lean and human proportioned, but under the hood it's all machine. Torque-controlled joints, articulated hands with soft grip sensors, high-speed vision, and real-time feedback across every limb. Early humanoid, one that's expressive, mobile, and...
Okay, so we're gonna finish up this last little bit. We're gonna I fast forward just a little bit closer to the end. So as we already seen, we've seen Saudi Arabia, we saw Russia, the United States, China. We're seeing that this stuff is all over the world, all over the globe, and people are implementing and using their. We saw South Korea, all these places, and people are having their own style of robots and different things of that nature that they use in order to implement and start using, which they're using already. So it's not I mean, it's been going on.
Engagement or customer service roles. By shedding some of the baggage associated with previous robotics projects and focusing on openness, realism, and adaptability, Melody represents a new kind of humanoid, one that's expressive, mobile, and ready for work in the real world. Persona AI...
You see that in the background? Right here, AI robot gives stock pics. Good Lord.
One that's expressive, mobile, and ready for work in the real world. Persona AI is a Houston-based startup you'll want to keep an eye on because they're doing something most humanoid companies aren't even trying. Instead of chasing viral dance clips or showroom demos, they're going straight for heavy industry. In 2024, Persona AI signed a multi-company agreement with HD Korea Shipbuilding, HD Hyundai Robotics, and Vasilco to co-develop humanoid robots designed for real shipyard work, specifically welding, inspection, and maintenance in tough industrial environments.
Miner, builder, welder, fabricator, assembler.
Under the deal, Persona AI is in charge of both the robot hardware and the AI brains that make it move, learn, and adapt. These robots won't just follow scripts. They'll use reinforcement learning and visual reasoning to perform precision welding, even in the tight and hazardous spaces of ship hulls and dry docks. The timeline: prototypes are set to roll out by late 2026, with the first full deployments expected in Korean shipyards by 2027. This project isn't about selling bots to consumers, it's about solving labor shortages, reducing workplace hazards, and showing that humanoid robots can actually take on blue-collar jobs. If all goes to plan, Persona AI might end up building one of the first humanoids that makes its living doing real, dirty, hands-on work. So now you've seen it. Not sketches, not prototypes, real humanoid robots.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. That is what is going to be happening in the very near future. They said they're going to roll those out in 2026, 2027. And I think that was in, I don't know what country that was in. What country did they say that was in? Korea. That's in Korea. So in Korea, they're going to be rolling those out here in the 2026, 2027. By 2030, Saudi Arabia has a Vision 2030 plan, and so on and so forth. So within the next 5 years, 10 years for sure, 10 years guaranteed, 5 years, we're going to have AI robots and robots all over the place. They're going to be everywhere. They're going to implement it in all sorts of businesses and stuff like that. They already got the prices made for them, so they're already going to be rolled out as far as pricing goes. And it's coming, it's happening. It's up to you and what you're going to choose to do and how you're going to choose to navigate and move through. If you're not paying attention, you're going to get rolled over. If you're paying attention, you may be able to roll with it. But with that being said, man, it's 4th of July. We got to get up out of here. Thank you for everybody who's tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. It brought you value. As you can see, we had to look at the student loan debt. And when looking at the student loan debt, we're seeing that these robots are coming up, and it's going to make it hard to pay those student loan debts off if these robots replace people with student loan debts and take away their jobs. With that being said, have a happy 4th of July. We'll take care. We'll see you later. And we'll probably catch you on Monday. See you later. Peace.
I'd rather be in the studio than in jail or on the street. Talking the wrong, couldn't off your teeth. Got that one hit to quit and knock you off your feet. It's big on, baby, I'm out some meat. Pockets chunky like cottage cheese. Real nigga, I just gotta be. Smoking weed that don't gotta see. Used to be a hustler prodigy. I love when people say they proud of me. I'm eating good, smoking broccoli. Taking over blocks like Monopoly. Only fuck the ones, that's my policy. Most of these hoes trying to cause a scene. Like niggas mad they not on the team. See, I got bread, then bought a dream. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing